Going into their first MAC tournament game Wednesday night against Ball State, Erica Johnson was still battling an injury. But even that didn't stop her from putting on a performance that Ohio won't soon forget. The Ohio Bobcats took on the Buffalo Bulls in the MAC championship game Saturday night at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. And Bobcats fans have waited 9 years to hear this. The Bobcats are going dancing. For the first time since 2012, the Ohio men's basketball team was back in March Madness as they took on the defending national champions, the Virginia Cavaliers. And the 9-year wait was worth it for Bobcats fans as Ohio dethroned the defending champs by a final score of 62-58. The Ohio Bobcats played their first game in 18 days due to last week being canceled due to positive tests. But there were no signs of rust from Ohio as they steamrolled Bowling Green 52-10. After Andrew Wells scored a goal in the second period to make it 2-1 going into the third, the Bobcats had 3 big penalty kills in the final period that helped them preserve a 2-1 victory over Adrian and get their first win of the season. Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear has filed a lawsuit claiming that Republican-backed laws aim to limit his authority to the response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Kentucky's Supreme Court has argued to take up the Democratic challenge. The new laws curbing his executive powers were temporarily blocked by Franklin County Circuit Judge Philip Shepard. The Chief Justice John D. Minton said that the review will be expedited to also include a second pandemic-related case at the same time. The courts will hear arguments on both cases on June 10th. This lawsuit comes after protesters made their voices heard outside the Kentucky State Capitol Wednesday. Demonstrators gathered in reaction to Governor Andrew Beshear's decision not to lift COVID-19 restrictions in the state. The governor said he's waiting until 2.5 million people in the state have been vaccinated. That means about 900,000 more will have to get the shot. Protesters likened the statement to a vaccine mandate. Protester organizers say that it is pretty much a vaccine mandate. Unsurprisingly, Jason Preston was named MAC Tournament MVP, and his 3 performances in the 3 games of this tournament will live on in Bobcats history for a long time. People began to know the full playing ability of Jason Preston when he scored 31 points against Illinois earlier in the season, a team that is now playing for the Big Ten championship. When Preston is at that level, it is adrenaline to his teammates.
To see Jay come out and be aggressive, it's just such a big part of our game plan. Just having him out there leading, being aggressive, and everybody just follows behind him. Like when Jay comes out and he plays to his fullest, it's so easy to just go out there and play hard because you see him having fun, him making incredible plays, and everybody's just there following behind him.
In his first game of the MAC tournament against Kent State, Jason Preston scored 19 points in the game, but he was a perfect 8 for 8 from the field. Something almost unheard of for a point guard. In the second game against top-seeded Toledo, he had arguably his best game of the season. Preston began setting the tone of the game early by knocking down a couple of big threes and scoring 18 points in the first half. Preston would end up with 27 points as the Bobcats knocked off the 1 seed 87-80. And the icing on the cake was the MAC championship game. JP once again came out playing super aggressive, feeding the rock and knocking down clutch threes, scoring 17 in the first half and giving the Cats a 20-point halftime lead. In the second half, Preston got back to his most coveted skill, his passing, making a couple of beautiful passes to his best friend Ben Vanderplas, who knocked down a set of triples that kept the Buffalo Bulls from making any serious runs. Preston would finish with 22 in that game, culminating in him winning the MAC Tournament MVP. The game started out pretty normally for both teams as they were both trading threes, and it was 19-19 with 7.5 left to go in the first half. Then things got really bad for the Bobcats. They'd hit just one of their next 14 field goals, and Creighton would go on a 20-4 run to end the half up 39-24. A problem for the Bobcats in that half was they were turning the ball over quite a lot, and Creighton was turning that into transition points against them. In the second half, the Bobcats were shooting much better than the first half. The problem was Creighton would always find a way to answer back. Whenever Ohio would score, Creighton would score. Whenever Creighton would start missing, the Bobcats would start missing. So it was kind of hard for the Bobcats to get back into the game when the margin is always remaining the same. The game would end with a 72-58 victory for Creighton as they advance to the Sweet 16 for their first time in their school history, while the Bobcats season ends in the round of 32. The Bobcats came up with 2 interceptions as first Jet Elad is in the right place at the right time and picks off Gibson's pass. Next possession, the Bobcats forced Gibson into a bad throw, and I got the Key Thompson takes advantage of it and comes up with the INT. The Bobcats would end up winning the turnover battle 3-0. Next Ohio possession, Tuggle shakes off a tackler, and there is nothing but green grass ahead of him, 70 yards to the house. Already nearly 100 yards in the first quarter. Bowling Green added a field goal to make it 14-3. Next BGSU possession, Matt McDonald throws it right into the hands of Alvin Floyd, who comes up with the INT, and the Cats are back in business. With the turnover comes the turnover belt and some dancing from Floyd. The rest of the second half was for the Bobcats to get much of their backups some playing time for the future, as Ohio shuts out the Falcons in the second half, puts up a 50-burger, and your final is 52-10. But the Bobcats would answer back about 5 minutes later, a giveaway in Adrian's zone, and Timmy Thurno picks it up and fires it from the high slot and goes bar down. A little delay after the goal, but then they confirm it went in, and the Cats tie it up at 1. On the ensuing man advantage, Oshawi with a touch pass to Fifey for the one-timer, and it rains off the pipe, but Matteo DiGiulio is there to whack in the rebound and tie the game at 2. So momentum for the Bulldogs. As for Meet Me at the London, McDay, he had 15 in the first half as well and would knock down 3 trays. He would finish with a team-high 20 points on the afternoon, a new career high. After Cleveland State made it a 46-25 game with 1:41 left in the half, the Bobcats would absolutely explode. Over the next 13 minutes, the Cats would outscore the Vikings 40-0. No, I'm not kidding. 40-0 run. That's a new NCAA record. The Bobcats would lead by 61 points before the Vikings would hit a free throw to end the run. Right out of the break, London McDay would come out firing from the corner as he knocks down the trifecta. Next possession, Big Ben Roderick to London again, connection like the tower in the city. Ohio really utilized the 3-ball throughout this game, and who led the charge? Pennies, nickels, and dimes. Ben Roderick will thrive from 3. Ohio has made a living this year playing for their teammates and not for themselves, and you can tell with this play. Preston with a beautiful bounce pass to Dwight Wilson III, and it's slam time for DJ.